Welcome to this week's Wise Man's Points to Ponder. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'll discuss a few things about what happened during the course of this week and give my opinion about it. So now the first thing I'm going to talk about is the Naxalism. Uh, Let me elaborate about extensively about Naxalism. First of all, the first thing is I have a problem with the whole deal of not considering Naxals as terrorists. In comparison to various other terrorist organizations which the government focuses on, the focus given to Naxalism is pretty low. It's like the CRPF are entirely responsible for tracking, monitoring them, and everything. It doesn't look like the intelligence agencies are seriously looking at the activities of Naxals. Now, so that is one thing. Second, these guys have outright declared that they don't want the government. They want to set up a government of their own. There are zones in the Naxal control regions which which are considered to be liberated zones. So effectively, they are anti-nationals who are fighting a war against India. So in given such a scenario, you'll have to treat them as terrorists, anti-nationals, and go fight a full-fledged war against them. Why isn't that being done? I don't understand why are Naxals being, sort of they're made to look like heroes by some of the so-called social activists. Second, we all know the incident that happened in Chhattisgarh, where quite a lot of very senior leaders of the Congress from Chhattisgarh were killed in an Naxal encounter. The whole thing looks weird to me. The politicians are so scared of so worried about their personal safety that there's a huge convoy of cars that go in front of and behind even a low-level politician in a big city. So, considering that so many important politicians traveling through a jungle which is totally unmonitored, without adequate safety is like something that looks ridiculous. And I think there's a much bigger conspiracy behind the attacks, which led to decimation of the whole political leadership, the Congress leadership that is there in Chhattisgarh. So that's my first point to ponder. Second, coming to business, of course, we know that the man, N.R. Narayan Murthy, is going to be reappointed as the chairman of Infosys, which is a good thing because Infosys appears to be going in the wrong direction. They don't seem to have a good vision about what is going to be happening to them in the near future. Apparently, the previous Q3, the quarterly results that they declared in the previous, the last time wasn't so good. Stock markets, IT stocks crashed significantly because of that. So hopefully, Murthy can take the company forward. Coming to the RBI policy, the much awaited something that we are waiting for in the coming June is the RBI policy. It is expected that the governor might reduce CRR and repo rates, but I have a problem with him hinting at what he is going to do. You see, the last time when he gave hints of this kind, the previous time the RBI the RBI declarations were made, Subbarao had come to the press and he had kind of given a hint that it is unlikely that they'll cut any of the rates. But in the end, he had actually reduced one of the rates, I guess the CRR rate, by 25 basis points. Now, a person of that level who can significantly impact the movement of the Sensex, I think should not come out and give such statements. If if let's assume that there are people who are closely associated with the RBI chairman, get to know what he intends to do once the once the RBI policy is coming out. They would wait for an opportunity like this. They would expect him to make a statement, something like hinting at the RBI is not going to cut any of the rates. Okay, what I'm saying is, let's say the RBI governor comes today and says that he's not going to cut any of the rates, or he gives a hint at it. The market obviously crashed on Friday, like close to 455 points of from the Sensex reduced. So when now a few days later, if he's going to be actually in reducing the rates by a certain amount, so you can see the margin of increase in the Sensex. So this is going to really profit a lot of people who trade in stocks, had they if at all they had prior access to the information that the RBI is going to reduce any of the rates by a certain amount. So what I'm trying to say is that my opinion about this is that the RBI governor should stay immune from totally out of the press and not hint at what he's going to do, or give any suggestions or say anything at all. I mean, he can reserve his speeches to the press on the day and the RBI is going to the policy announcement of the RBI is coming out, and he shouldn't be meeting the press and making such statements, is my point. Coming to sports, of course BCCI and the sport fixing and all that. BCCI is a sports body. It is the body really, it does not have a major impact on the day-to-day lives of the citizens of this country. It's just a sports body. So corruption in the BCCI is something that has to be looked into, but I have a problem with everybody targeting Srinivasan for what his son-in-law did. Now basically when you look at the whole thing, his son-in-law is accused of being involved in betting. Mind this, no one has ever outright said that he was involved in he was in any way connected to the spot fixing stuff that happened a couple of days ago. So even if he was involved in betting, the stakeholders are the various teams which are within the country. This is not an India-Pakistan match wherein in which a certain spot fixing was planned or conspired by Mayappan, that everybody should be targeting him in this fashion. The stakeholders are entirely business people. So if a match is fixed in favor of a certain team, it's the other team owners who are going to be losing, because they are going to be losing the funding from various companies. So I don't know why does this have to become such a political issue. Now another aspect to this, over the period of time, or if you look at the head of the various cricket boards in the country, most of them are politicians, and Srinivasan is the only person who is a businessman controlling a sports body, and this is a very rare occurrence. So is there a much deeper conspiracy to get him out, to gain control of the BCCI, which is swimming in money? That's my point to ponder in sports. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day.